What's good, y'all? So today we're going to be stimulating the classic question of OKC, but in a different way. Instead of doing the whole what if Harden never left thing, we're going to be doing a what if Kevin Durant and James Harden came back this current year. Now, before we get started, we'll be giving this basically a storyline filled with context to actually allow these moves to happen. So also, if you like NBA videos, definitely click that subscribe button for more content. I am trying to upload more, and I appreciate these loyal subs for all the support. Glory be to God. Let's get So after winning 2 titles in Golden State, the 7-foot monster is looking to figure out what's next for his career. Now, he joined the elite company, becoming a back-to-back finals MVP, and he did so in dominating fashion. He completed the goal that he sought out to do, which was to win a ring, but for some reason he didn't feel that he had completed his journey. He had thought about the basketball landscape and had an actualizing moment in realizing that the capstone to his career was to win elsewhere, to truly throw himself into the top 10 consideration, and more importantly, to prove to himself that he is that good. Now remember, this is the summer of 2018. And meanwhile, after being eliminated in 7 games by the Warriors, James Harden felt that he was hopeless, man. After a 60-win season, 60-plus win season, and a fully loaded squad, they had failed to dethrone the Warriors despite having home court advantage for the series and Game 7. This all came to a boiling point in Houston after CP3 signed a 4-year, $160 million deal, and during a workout this summer ruptured his hamstring again. Now, this man Harden knew that the writing was on the wall, in Houston, and needed to get to a winning situation. He knew that after working out with KD, that KD's mind was potentially on going back to OKC and winning a championship. And James understood that his style of basketball cannot be the lead player on a championship team in today's NBA. James knew that all 3 of them, older and matured, for the playoffs would definitely make noise, and knew that Houston could not contend if CP3 is going to be, if he's not going to be solid for the playoffs every year. So James talked to the NBA, his NBA mentor, Kobe Bryant, that same summer, and Kobe told him to wait 2 months into the season to demand a trade. This is because Kobe knows that PG-13, in order to be moved with another player, they have to wait about 60 days. Now, sure enough, KD during the summer made headlines and basically shocked the NBA by signing a 1-year, $30 million deal with OKC, stating that he's bringing a title this year, hell or high water. During the first 2 months of the season, KD and PG-13 struggle to play together because honestly they do the same things on the court. It's just that in OKC's position, when your best player in franchise history, who's still in his prime, comes back wanting to play for you, you just cannot not try and sign him, and try it out at least, especially after their embarrassing loss to the Jazz last year. You gotta be flexible in your thought process. However, Sam Presti, GM at the time, he knew that he was going to need a trade for PG, because he's going to need a more off-ball player of some sorts, or a player that will come off the bench in some way, shape, or form. Because after signing PG for 4 years, he knew that PG wouldn't and shouldn't accept a bench role. Now then, in mid-January, James Harden shocked the world and made his trade demand that set the NBA on fire. LA wanted in on that, so did Miami, New York, Brooklyn. Basically, everybody was throwing the kitchen sink at them for James Harden. But Houston only wanted 1 deal. They wanted PG-13. They knew that PG and KD were struggling to play together, and PG would fit their offense and defensive schematics well. And with that salary cap, salary cap wise, they could make the move. The only question is, does OKC really want to run that back? All right, now Sam Presti originally said, hell no. That's 3 on-ball players with Russ, James, and KD back to play with even bigger egos? Yeah, that man said, nah, I already got enough messy as it is trying to mesh KD and Russ. I don't need that in my life. But then Presti was called by the owners on the phone of OKC and was told, end quote, if you don't pull that trigger, I will, and it won't be for the trade, end quote. So basically, Presti had no option but to pull the trigger on a trade for James Harden, where he sent PG-13 and Andre Roberson to Houston. Now, this trade set the NBA on fire. All right, with LeBron James tweeting, end quote, this is why, end quote, which was insinuating this is why players move the way they want, because PG-13, who was wooed into coming back, and KD, who came back for 1 year, and OKC kicks PG-13 to the curb like he's garbage or something, man. And James was actually told by Billy Donovan upon arrival that we will have you running as a pseudo 2 guard, where we will have you and Russ alternating at the 1. With 3 of those players, that the OKC Thunder had, they finished the season out at the number 2 seed behind Golden State, where Steph Curry won his 3rd MVP after being able to stretch his legs with the departure of KD, winning 70 games, averaging 30, basically averaging his 2016 stats, just a scale a bit down back. All right. In the first round, the OKC Thunder made quick work of LeBron James, the led Lakers, who were fractured after they had been used as trade bait for James Harden, go figure, and could not ride LeBron's hot hand to beat the Thunder and lost in 5. Now, in the second round, when playing the Rockets in an emotional and chippy series, Russell Westbrook injured his wrist in Game 3 and would miss the rest of the series at minimum. James was slotted at the point and was being guarded by CP3, the whole series getting dominated defensively by CP3, and CP3 was just picking him apart, man, in that OKC series. And they brought the series basically to a Game 7. Now, in Game 7, James could not buy a shot to save his life, and OKC was primarily riding the shoulders of KD, who was battling PG-13 in a legendary first half. Now, the worries of OKC had become very real because James was slipping into that incognito mode that he is known for and had to be slapped to wake up. Now, during a timeout in the 4th quarter, Russell Westbrook told James Harden straight up, "If you let that man Chris Paul do you up again, I'm going to personally beat your ass as soon as we get to the back." As man James and Russ got into a physical altercation, and James went on to drop 25 in the 4th quarter, going 10 of 12 and hitting a 4-point play to tie the game up and send it to overtime. Now, in the last minute, CP3 missed the potential game winner, and James brought the ball down as the clock winded down, and the crowd was screaming all kinds of ridiculousness, because you have to remember, this is in OKC, man. This is in OKC, but a lot of Houston fans slipped into the building, and there was a lot of ridiculousness being screamed from the sidelines. People were sitting front row, and James dribbled left, looked for a signature step back, but CP3 was ready, and he already knew. He knew it was coming. It was stripped, but the ball bounced off CP3's leg and rolled back to Steven Adams, who fed James, and this man screened for him, and James took the wide open 3 that dropped through the net, and time expired. All right, and this man Russ was the first person to run over and pick this man up with his injured wrist and brought that man to the scores table. And OKC at this point, they look legit. They look like they can close. Now, when facing the Warriors, Russ returned for Game 1 and took the assignment of guarding Steph 94 feet because he was fresh and held Steph to 23.1 points per game on 43% from the field. And KD was putting in that work in that series, trying to show Golden State who was the real reason that they won 2 back-to-back titles. Now, the issue was that Klay was eating James alive on offense. Klay was running all over the court, and this forced Billy D to have to sit James and restrict him to 25 minutes per game because Klay was just having too many 8 3-pointer games, and plus, the Thunder were able to slip by the Warriors in 6, with Draymond getting suspended for 2 games for chopping at KD while in the air. In the finals, the Thunder they basically faced their toughest matchup yet, man. The 76ers, they were able to slip to the finals after Kyle Lowry injured his Achilles in Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals and just didn't have the facilitating necessary to overcome Philly's star-studded cast. Now, Philadelphia had Tobias Harris guarding KD. Joel was being guarded by Steven Adams. Jeremy Grant was sticking Jimmy Butler. James Harden was guarding JJ Redick. And Ben Simmons was being guarded by Russell Westbrook. After being praised as the, in quote, Steph stopper, Russell Westbrook went into this series with the mindset of keeping Ben from getting off any shots, while Ben just kept taking him to the post and scoring because Russ was playing for the steals and trying to cut off his dribbling. Now, this allowed Philly to jump out to a 2-0 lead. Then after Billy D switched Russ and Jeremy Grant's responsibilities on defense, the OKC Thunder took the next 2 games easily, with KD dropping 40 in Game 5 on Tobias Harris, who was just looking for answers. All right, now during Game 6, though James Harden had a concussion after getting swatted by Joel Embiid on a chase down, and Joel landing on him basically as they crashed to the floor, they were able to put up a fight, but they lost that game and had to go to a Game 7, and James Harden would not be medically cleared to play for that game. It was up to Billy D, KD, and Russ to have to finish something that all 4 of them set out to do early on in the season, when the NBA was hyping up the Big 3 to do their job that they had to finish from 2012. Now, in the first half, KD went 4 for 4, but wasn't getting the ball because Westbrook was attacking like a monster. However, KD needed more shots, man. Russ had 18 in the first half, going 8 of 18, despite Billy calling KD's number on 10 straight plays in the second quarter. During halftime, being down by 25, KD pulled Westbrook aside and told him straight up, in quote, "Yo, look, not you right now. Give me the ball. Give me the ball. I'm feeling it right now. You're not feeding me. Give me the ball. Also, I'm gonna take it. That's simple." End quote. not the fourth quarter, but the third quarter, this man Russ was reluctant to listen, and KD had enough. All right, this man, he came out of the post and came and took the ball from Russ, told Russ to clear out and move. Called for Steven Adams to come set the screen. He ran the play, pulled up from 2 over Joel. Easy money. KD after that shot yelled at Westbrook, yo, end quote, feed me, I'm hot, end quote. Now Russ went on to feed KD on the next 5 plays, with KD going 6 for 6 after that, you know, bringing the Thunder back into the game. Basically heading into the fourth, 2 minutes to go. KD was going at Joel, for, you know, point for point, basically, with Joel having 44 so far in the game, just eating Steven Adams alive while KD was at 40. KD brought the ball up and basically went up, and Joel, you know, got swatted. Joel just swatted off the thing, and Russ was following behind for the and kicked the ball out to T. Ferg for the 3, which got knocked down. OKC's crowd was going crazy. And coming down the floor, this man Jimmy B missed the mid-range jumper. He got off the screen from Ben, which allowed KD to grab the when Russ went down on the other end. Now, with Adams, Steven Adams was trailing on the fast break. KD looked for him, but Joel was sticking with him down the floor. But oh boy, KD saw Russ on his way down the floor and fed Russ, who was sprinting in the lane, and bodied Joel Embiid for the and 1. And Russ knocked down the free throw, and the game was tied. Now, Joel was screaming at Ben for not covering his man, and the 76ers had the ball. Now, with 30 seconds left, the 76ers had Joel post on the block. He did an up and under smooth move, Hakeem-like. Saw Jeremy Grant helping and kicked to Tobias Harris, who missed the wide open 3, and Russ had the ball. Now, with 20 seconds on the clock, OKC's crowd was told to stand up by Westbrook, and Westbrook did what everyone said he couldn't and called for Durant to come over and get the ball and take them home. Now, Harden was on the side wild, and Billy knew the game was out of his hands at this point. This was a matter of pride and greats battling it out. At this point, Jimmy Butler, he was guarding KD, and Joel was sticking Steven Adams, looking to help if KD drove. Now, KD told the crowd to get louder, and with 5 seconds left, made his move. He drove right, did a hezzy to bring it back, realized Jimmy wouldn't let him drive, and Joel would help, and it was up to him, and he pulled another hezzy to get the ball to his left, pulled up, and game. Russ tackled that man, and Harden and the rest of the Thunder did too. And, yo, it was just wild, man. KD received Finals MVP. Russ and James finally became the champions that everyone predicted they would. And the Philadelphia 76ers, they basically had Joel and Ben leaving the arena. And it was looking just like how 2012 looked 6 years later. And we heard the same words get echoed about these youngsters, about how they have such a bright future ahead of them if they stay together. And the cycle continues. Now, KD wouldn't stay during the summer, and he eventually went to the Clippers with Kyrie and Kawhi. But KD had completed the job and done what his biggest critics said that he couldn't, and what he knew that he could. Now, thanks for watching. If you stuck around to the end and you like NBA videos, definitely subscribe to the channel for more. And you already know to never be mad at me, but to be mad at yourself for being an underachiever. Play it out.